Have you ever been taken advantage of by someone in a position of power? I have. I spoke about it openly earlier in the season about being molested at the age of 5. And it's still happening, by the way. I encounter situations where I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, like a few months ago when I was offered a bodywork session by someone who had ulterior motives, who started to touch me and do things in ways that had me feel unsafe and uncomfortable, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I thought, well, I'm a man, I'm a single man, I should be enjoying this. Yeah, let that go. Don't say anything, don't be a baby. And the truth is that this has been happening for eons. It has been happening in the new age spiritual communities because I've been getting these phone calls every week from people who have experienced it or who know someone who has experienced being taken advantage of by someone that they see in a position of power. Because what is it about this spiritual new age community that ties us all together? It's that we're seeking. We're seeking to more deeply understand ourselves and more deeply understand the world. And that means that we are open to teachers. And these teachers, when they allow their shadow in, when they allow these old paradigm bullshit ways of acting into the experience, they are doing a disservice to the entire movement that is happening on this planet. And the only way that we combat that is with awareness, because awareness gives us choice. And so now we are not going to hide these conversations behind closed doors. We are going to bring them out into the open. And that is why I want to share with you this behind the scenes moment from when we were in New York filming the show where we discussed this very topic.
When we were down in San Diego, and that woman reached out to me and said, hey, I see how much you're holding. I recognize, I just feel like you could use like a bodywork session. I'd love to offer you a bodywork session. It's like, that sounds fantastic. I've actually been wanting a bodywork session. And to get there and be laying there and to have, to then have it turn into a sexual thing, to have it turn into, this woman is now sitting on me in her underwear. I can feel her bare breasts on my back as she's like massaging, and like that was never discussed. It was discussed as a bodywork session. What? Like what?
Consent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it became something where we talked about it, and I said, hey, like, let's talk about this. I went into my head and said, I'm single. There's nothing wrong. Like, I'm not violating any agreements anywhere. Like, maybe this is an edge. Maybe I can lean into my edge. And then to have her consistently push that. And I had to say, can you not go any further in that direction? Mm-hmm. Can you actually not do more of that? Because I don't feel comfortable going any further in that direction. Mm-hmm. And feeling like the whole time my body tense up, every time that she got in that area and started to like touch in that area, because I felt like I couldn't trust that she would respect the boundary. Mm-hmm. And in my current dynamic of what we're uncovering around feeling safe, and especially in sex and with honestly just with my genitals in general, like that feeling, rewiring that is so important that I feel like that experience was harmful. And I imagine it's got to happen even more often to women, where a masseuse, a body worker, whatever, just goes into certain areas and touches certain places where now that woman just like has it in the back of their mind. Is he going to try and take it? Is it going to go? And
I've heard it time and time again.
That's f***ed up.
Bodywork sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it time and time again from people that like I've worked with who have said that they have traumatic imprints from people that have worked with them.
That's so
f***ed up. So many women walk through the world, the majority of women that I talk to walk through the world just not feeling safe, walking to their car, walking home at the end of the night, going on a date, meeting somebody on Tinder. Like there's a base level of fear going into that because of not just the way that they have been treated by men, but the way women have been treated by men for the past thousands of years. That lineage of subjugation and shame and persecution and possession and beating and abuse is compounded into their DNA to not fully trust us.
We get to show up without the expectation of sex. Our interaction with women does not need to be guided by the desire for sex with the women. That right there is foundational to how we are going to reprogram the dynamics between men and women. Because as long as men continue to see women as sexual objects instead of fully realized multi-dimensional beings that are expressions of source energy and divine, like, cosmic God selves, like, when we can see that and take that sacredness into our interactions with them and say, I see you as the divine being you are, and as a result of me seeing you that way, I'm going to treat you as sacred. Your presence is sacred to me. And from there, if something sexual, like, comes out of that, fantastic, wonderful, and we can lay it down in a primal, beautiful human way and like have the best sex of our lives. And if it doesn't wind up moving in that direction, that doesn't mean that you are less desirable. It doesn't mean that you are less worthy. It doesn't mean anything other than that's just not our connection, and I'm still going to hold you as sacred. That's how we get to show up as conscious men. That's how we get to do that. And we get to reverse engineer that into, okay, why are men showing up, guiding the conversations from a place of, I want to have sex with you? Why is that the case? And the starting point for me is because men are looking to feel powerful. Because men also don't feel safe. A lot of men don't feel safe. And there's a difference in compensation. The compensation for not feeling safe is, how do I feel more powerful? Great, let me go a bunch of women.
Safety, power, and control. That's it.
That's it.
As long as we have two of them, we can navigate.
In my experience, what's great about this that I'm recognizing is my awareness that I have not felt safe in the world as I navigate it allows me to almost put myself in the shoes of these women. In a strange way, like I can relate. And so as I learn how do I feel more safe, I think that there's a lot of those lessons that will apply to how I can show up for women. How would I like someone to show up for me?
And so we have this collective awareness now, which gives us new choices. And collectively, we get to make choices that put an end to this behavior. And if you are someone who has experienced this, been victimized in some way, shape, or form, you do not need to feel guilty, you do not need to feel ashamed, and you definitely do not need to hide. These conversations get to happen out in the open. And if you are someone who is a teacher or a healer or a guru or a shaman or whatever you want to call it, and you are taking advantage of people, fucking stop. It is such a disservice to this movement for people to have their hearts blown open and this willingness and this receptivity to love, only to have that damaged. Only to have someone come in a position of power and take advantage of that. Fucking stop. And for those of you who had no idea that this was happening, for those of you who are new to your awakening journey, you do not need to move through the world with fear. This isn't about that. This is about you trusting yourself. This is about me letting you know that no guru, no healer, no shaman can tell you your safety more than you. No one can tell you what you need to do more than you when you feel into it. What is your truth? It doesn't matter if the reason I'm feeling uncomfortable comes from being molested at the age of 5 and I recognize that it's my wounding. If I don't feel safe, I don't feel safe. And I get to honor that. And I get to move slower. And the healers get to respect that. And so for you, consistently check in with yourself. with your truth. Do not let anyone tell you that you don't get to honor that. If they tell you that in order for you to be healed, you need to do something that is outside the truth of your safety, the truth of your sovereignty, the truth of the speed at which you feel comfortable moving, tell them to go f themselves with love. And I want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. And I want to thank you for being a part of these conversations, for shining a light of awareness on it, and for having the courage to be on this journey in the first place. You are loved.